Resistance is futile.
Boldly going where no show has gone before. This is The Week in Geek with David D. Squared and Brian Held. Heard live on News Talk 99.5 WRNO and the iHeartRadio app. Here are your hosts, Brian Held and D. Squared.
Good evening. This is The Week in Geek, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. I'm your host, D Squared, with
Brian Held.
Brian Held, how the hell are you, buddy?
Did you know the RTA was starting to hire out-of-work stormtroopers?
No.
Yeah.
Why would they do that? They can't, I guess they can't hit anything, so they might be the best drivers in the galaxy.
They'll drop their insurance rates, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Go to Geico. So are you saying that the Gishways thing that you did has finally come to fruition? People are snapping pictures of Brian Held in his Stormtrooper gear?
Yeah, so Gishways is officially over as far as the teams have taken their pictures and stuff, submitted them, and over the next few weeks the judging will happen. But the submissions have closed as of this weekend.
So people are no longer to be beating down your door to get pictures with you or of you?
I suppose.
Okay. Keep your blinds closed. Just throwing that out there. So, all right, guys, let's lay out the show real quick. We're going to open up with Top Nerd News. We have Rob Reid, New York Times bestselling author.
It's awesome.
This guy, all right, just to pull back the curtain a little bit for everybody, normally when we have some of these interviews, they average about, 8 to 10 minutes per interview.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And just sometimes when you're talking with people that, a conversation just flows. And when we were talking with Mr. Reid, holy crap, dude.
An hour.
It was an hour.
Yes.
Right. We had to parse it down. I got it down to about 25 minutes.
Right.
And there was a lot of stuff that I ended up having to, leave on the cutting room floor.
Right.
But, this was a lot of fun talking with him. Extremely personable man.
Absolutely.
Very extremely knowledgeable. And, he's been down this road, and it's a very similar road that we're traveling on.
Yep. So, unfortunately, we did have to cut Scungy tonight. No video game review.
Well, and that's fine, because next week, Madden is coming out. Football season's starting up.
Right.
Not that you would know anything about that, Mr. Held.
I can't help but know, with all you sports
Real
fanatics.
estate acquisition every Sunday. So, Madden's coming out on the 25th, and we're going to recap some another good video game, and then also we'll wrap up the show with This Week in Geek History.
Yep.
And we got a lot of community news to get to. So,
absolutely.
You know what? Let's just get right into it, man. And now, your top nerd news stories from around the world, brought to you by the Viridian Tea Company. Find them on Etsy. And now, your top nerd news stories. All right, man. So, look, right out the gate, we need to talk about what's going on with Netflix and Disney.
Yeah, so it is Netflix on the ropes, right?
Well, here's the thing. So, on Tuesday, Disney announced in their shareholders meeting that they're going to be pulling at the end of 2018, 2019, they're pulling all their Disney products from Netflix shelves. So if you want to see all the Disney movies like Moana and a lot
Frozen
of
Frozen
and all that stuff, that's going to be gone at 2018. And Disney is launching their own streaming entertainment website where you can pay a fee and get all their great Disney features, et cetera, et cetera. And so this means, they own Star Wars, they own all the Marvel stuff.
Well, Netflix is fighting to keep that.
Well, right. Well, let me lay out the table
all
first,
right.
then you can destroy it.
Okay.
So all these products is what Disney is wanting to take away and start their own site. Now, obviously, this is their intellectual property. They can do whatever the hell they want with it. Right now, Netflix is the beneficiary of all this stuff right now. So even Netflix, they took a huge hit on the stocks. As soon as that was announced, their shares dropped. So now Friday, they are in heated talks with Disney right now because they want to keep the Star Wars movies and the Marvel's movies. Now, apparently they're still keeping the Marvel TV shows now.
Right.
So, that's something they already kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Right. So now here's the thing, though, Brian. They're going to start their own Disney website, another streaming site.
Service. Yes.
You got CBS All Access. They're going to be. You've got Hulu, you've got Amazon Prime, you've got Netflix, you've got Sling, you've got Jesus. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of streaming services.
So,
yes.
well, now a lot of the big movie houses, and some of the big major networks, they're starting their own streaming sites for, the low price of $8.99, $9.99 here and there. Now,
this is the advantage of the a la carte, system, right?
Mm-hmm.
You pay for exactly what you want.
Right.
All right. But if you want it all, then it's probably going to cost more than a cable subscription.
Well, here's the problem, though. All right, so I have Netflix, I have Amazon Prime, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Roughly about, $20 a month.
Okay.
Now here's the thing, though. Once Netflix starts pulling out, or Netflix starts losing a lot of their content, Amazon starts losing a lot of their content, and you've got all these other, CBS coming out. You got Disney, and now ESPN, etc. I'm going to have to start buying all of these if I want that content. It's going to dilute the ones we're already getting. This a la carte system is actually going to get worse because they're not going to lower their prices. You're going to still be paying $8.99 to $7.99 and $9.99 a month, but you're going to get less bang for your buck. You're going to pay $10 a month for only Disney services, $10 a month for what CBS has, ESPN, all these things, and when there's that many, there's no choices anymore, and then you're going to have to pay more.
What do you mean there's no choice? There's nothing but choice in this.
The choices are going to be limited where you buy. Like, if I got Netflix, I'm going to have, as soon as they lose that, I'm going to have to buy other things to supplement Netflix, though.
Okay, first off, you don't have to buy anything, all right?
Are you being an a-hole?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
All right? It's all about choice, right? You have unlimited choice here. Now, they're just subdividing it up much worse than it is under a cable subscription. However, it may improve quality, because if we know anything from what's coming out of Hollywood right now, it's a bunch of
that's
turds.
A different conversation, though, Brian.
It's not a different conversation.
Conversation.
Because if I'm Disney and I want people to buy my service, then I need to put out high quality content that's worthy of those subscriptions.
Okay, they're already doing that.
What do you mean they're already doing that?
They're already putting out high-quality stuff, and
okay.
we can get it on Netflix or through Amazon.
What do you think about
Netflix and Amazon and Hulu, they pretty much have everything we need. But now Hulu, Amazon, and Netflix are all going to start losing pieces of themselves.
Right.
So now I'm going to have to buy more stuff. If I want the Disney stuff, I got to go to Disney. And with sports and all these other things, with CBS, Star Trek, I'm going to have to get more stuff. So now I cut the cord from cable so that I can, do this a la carte thing. Well, now if I got to get 5 friggin' subscriptions, well, I might as well just consider going back to cable.
Possibly.
So that's what I'm trying to say. You all this a la carte, you get choice, you don't got to buy it. Well, if I want something good, I'm going to have to pay money for it.
Yeah, that's how it works.
That's the problem, though, Brian, because right now we're all getting a good deal. We're about to start getting shafted royally.
Well, that's the wonderful part about choice, Dave.
Oh, my God, I'm trying to help out the listeners. You're being a D-bag.
I'm not being a D-bag at all. Absolutely, no.
All right, so then how do we help the listeners now, Brian, besides, you can do whatever you want. It's America.
Well, Dave, the thing is you're just being obtuse about it, right?
I'm not being obtuse. I'm laying out the facts that if we got 5 friggin' subscriptions, then maybe it's better for me to just keep my cable, is what I'm trying to explain to you. ESPN, all right, so here's another thing.
Okay.
ESPN, which is also owned by Disney, they really screw cable up pretty bad because
Absolutely.
It's overpriced for what you get.
Right.
I don't want the Ocho. I don't want dodgeball. I just want my friggin' NFL package, all right? And the ESPN, now, they really make cable untenable with their price packaging. So I like the fact that they're going to take that out because that's actually going to reduce the cost of some of the cable that we get.
Well, and maybe that's a lifeline to cable companies who are hemorrhaging customers right now.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
Which is why we were doing it. So that's the thing, though, Brian. I came over to your side, the dark side. I was like, you know what? Hell yeah. For $20 a month, I get all this great stuff.
Right.
But now I'm going to start losing all this great stuff because everybody's like, oh, wow, there's a lot of money in this. Let's do that.
Honestly, Dave, we're still in the Wild West phase of the whole streaming environment.
Yeah, but once Disney gets on board, man.
Look, we just have to wait and see. It's a little bit early. We got
2 years.
Yes.
We got 2 years.
Right.
But the thing, though, is that with Disney and ESPN and all that stuff, I kind of like the idea that ESPN might pull it out. Well, this is a very serious conversation we're having, man. I mean, we're talking like money, actual money. You want to lighten it up?
Well, no, it's not that I want to lighten it up. It's that we have a ton of content and not much time to cover it.
All right, so look, moving on. Robert Kirkman, he's getting out of his deal with AMC.
Right.
Now he signed a deal with Amazon. So this is actually good for Amazon because it raises their stocks potentially because every new intellectual property that he comes up with, Amazon gets first crack at it.
Right.
So it doesn't mean they have it, if they're like, okay, well, we don't think this will work for us, well, then it goes to somebody else. AMC has been the one, reaping the benefits of the whole Walking Dead and what's the other damn show? It's a horror thing. They actually have a live action like a theater where like it's like a haunted house, but you're part of the cast. It's in San Diego. It's
really
Delusions. That's what it's called, Delusions. We need to talk about this later when we get into October. I want to get these people on the show. So, but yeah, Kirkman, AMC might have some problems, So, of course, AMC doesn't have a streaming site. They're on cable. Another reason to keep cable. Maybe we want to get some duct tape out and uncut the cord.
No.
All right, Josh Brolin with his ugly Thanos-looking mug, and now he's got the ugly cable mug. Mm-hmm. And so they confirmed that he is going to be, actual cable with the time-traveling twist and everything in that. And don't screw with Josh Brolin.
Why?
Because he's going to hurt you.
He's going to hurt me.
Well, okay. He'll thrash you verbally over the coals of the media circus.
Well, yeah, but that was in defense. Apparently, James Cameron called him all kind of names because he turned down the role for Avatar.
Why would he turn down such a prestigious role, Brian?
Are you kidding me?
There's blue people, and they're making a theme park out of it 10 years after the movie bombed.
I saw Pocahontas in space, and I wasn't impressed. So
I've never heard that before. That's pretty good, Brian.
You never heard that?
I had not heard that.
Oh, jeez.
Well, okay. Well, he turned it down, and I don't blame him. I mean, he's freaking Thanos with Marvel. Now he's going to be Cable with Deadpool. Why the hell would he even want to screw with Avatar?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Cameron's a butthole. All right.
What's next?
Carl Urban.
Yes.
Judge Dredd TV series.
He is so ready to be Judge Dredd. And what's nice is, honestly, I think, because we were just talking about Deadpool, I think that Carl Urban appreciates Judge Dredd like Ryan Reynolds appreciates Deadpool. I
agree with that.
He's totally committed to this role.
Well, you are the Dredd fan. You are the Dredd aficionado.
Right.
I mean, are you behind this? I mean,
absolutely. I met him at Dragon Con in 2014 and personally thanked him for keeping the helmet on the whole movie.
Good on you. Well, I mean, now the TV series, I mean, are you behind that if he's not in it, though? I guess that's the caveat.
Well, somebody has to play the role of Dredd. You can't do Dredd without Dredd, right? And he does a good job. Granted, there's going to be a lot of juggling of schedules, right? Because he's a big actor. He's doing a lot of stuff. But he's also very committed. I think that he would be willing to move his schedule around to accommodate this.
You know what? Why don't we ask him when we go to Dragon Con in a couple weeks?
That would be cool. We should.
We'll do that.
Yes.
Let's do that. Speaking of community news, things that we're going to be out and about, tell us about... Jesus, we got a lot of stuff going on.
Okay, so next weekend is crazy. There's a ton of stuff. On Saturday at the Java Works Coffee House in Hardy Street in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. From 10 to 3, you can see Batman, the Ghostbusters, Ecto 1. There's going to be pizza by the slice from Papa John's.
I'm in.
And maybe not, Dave.
There's pizza.
And game demos from GameStop. It's all benefiting the Hattiesburg Fire Department Benevolent Fund. And you can find out more information about that on Facebook.com/Team John Boy.
Team John Boy on Facebook. Okay.
And that's all day next Saturday.
And they got pizza.
If you're not in the Hattiesburg area. And
what if I'm in the Florida area?
If you're in the Florida area, you and I are going to be at Pensacola Comic Convention.
Are we going to hold hands and skip?
We can if you'd like.
All right.
And that's August 19th and 20th at the Pensacola Interstate Fair Expo Hall and Conference Hall. And that's PensacolaComicCon.com for more information. And, yeah, we'll be there all weekend.
That is a fun event. Yeah. Guys, if y'all are in the area, I mean, it's a 3-hour trip. It's really not that far at all. And she's got a laundry list of celebrities there. I mean, it's worth the drive, worth the time, worth the money.
And I did mention about the short film we're working on, Hopeless, a Star Wars story. and we're going to try to maybe air a trailer for that and talk about it with John Mangus. He's going to be there.
See, and that's an unsolicited because they didn't pay to advertise with us this year, and we're still promoting them.
Next thing on the list is also next Saturday here locally, Starfleet International is having its annual Members International Conference August 18th through 20th at the Crowne Plaza Airport Hotel. For more information on that, you can go to ic2017.org, and it's just what?
Well, okay, right.
Yeah.
So wait, that's the. It's a membership drive?
It's not just a membership drive. It's their annual convention. They're going to have people from all over, maybe the world, coming in as part of Starfleet International.
Okay.
They're going to have panels and
where's
contests.
this at? That's here in town?
Yeah, it's the Crowne Plaza Airport Hotel.
Oh, okay.
So that's 18th through 20 all weekend long. And also have to mention the Independent Gaming League Madden Tournament is going to be held at the 14 Parishes Restaurant starting on Sunday, September 3rd. Get it on your calendar. They're going to have $2,000 in cash that's going to be split between the first and fourth places. So
yeah, that's the Madden tournament comes out August 25th. So literally, you're only going to have like a week or so to kind of like play the new game before you go out there and risk it all for $2,000.
Yep. So we're going to have more information as that comes out. We just got that little snippet. And last thing. You did Christmas in July last month.
I did.
So let's do Christmas in August. All right?
I don't think that's a thing.
Well, why not?
Okay.
I've got promo codes for my book, Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid. And if you would like a free promo code, say the first 5 callers.
All right.
We will give you a promo code.
All right, that number is 2600995. 2600995. Call in and get the mellifluous tones of Brian Held and Jezebel Johnston.
All right, guys, up next.
Searching for her one true love.
Coming up next, guys, is our interview with New York Times bestselling author Rob Reid.
That dude kicks ass.
He does. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
Are you putting your retirement savings in a 401k, IRA, or investment account? Then I have one word of advice. Stop. Many experts warn of a stock market crash any day now. And if it's anything like the last 2 crashes, you could lose 50% or more of your hard-earned savings in the Wall Street casino. Can you afford to lose half of your retirement savings again? Hey, you don't have to lose a penny because there's a better, safer way to save for retirement. And you can learn all about it in a free report. This is the report Wall Street and big banks desperately hope you never see. Why? Because this method continues to grow your money even when the market tumbles. It lets you take back control of your money and finances, and it gives you penalty-free access to your savings. Plus, it beats the pants off any 401k or IRA. These are uncertain times, so get the information you need today to guarantee your retirement security. To get this free report, go to bankonyourself.com right now. That's bankonyourself.com. Bankonyourself.com.
Okay, guys, are you ready for a revolution down below? I'm talking about Frigo underwear from revolutionwear.com. It's all about comfort and looking great. Revolution Wear totally reimagined men's underwear. It's the only brand to feature a mesh pouch and patented Frigo Zone ventilation to keep you cool, dry, and comfortable. They don't pinch, pull, or restrict. Plus, you'll get some nice double takes when wearing them. Try them for yourself. Buy Frigo online at revolutionwear.com. The revolution starts below.
Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid by Nancy Hansen, is now an audiobook read for you by Brian Held. It's a tale of a young girl from Tortuga who disguises herself as a boy and bluffs her way onto a pirate ship, chasing after her one true love, only to find adventure on the high seas. Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid is available on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. Get your copy of Jezebel Johnston today.
You've waited for it, and now it's here. Get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt and help support our show. These 100% cotton black t-shirts with the Week in Geek Radio Show logo are going fast. So don't wait. Go to twigradio.com and order your shirt now. Just go to twigradio.com/shop and get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt. $15 up to XL, $17 for 2X and 3X. That's twigradio.com/shop.
Friends, is your morning tea just not your cup of tea? Then try the tea blends of Viridian Tea Company. At Viridian Tea Company, they sell blends guaranteed to make you think outside the box. With such blends as My Enemy's Tears, Goth Librarian, Cyberpunk, and many more, your tea experience will be out of this world. Look for the blends at Tubby & Coo's Mid-City Bookshop, located at 631 North Carrollton, or on Etsy at Viridian Tea Company. Try Viridian Tea Company today. Your taste buds will thank you.
Everything is more expensive these days. Gasoline, food, just about everything. Auto insurance is no exception. But unlike most things, there is a way to lower what you pay for car insurance. I'm Greg with Go Auto Insurance. I'm asked all the time, what can I do to pay less for car insurance? Drive responsibly. No texting. Don't drink and drive. And always call Go Auto Insurance at 504-254-3000 for a fast, free quote that can save you hundreds on car insurance. When you buy direct without a commissioned agent, you pay less. Go Auto Insurance agents help you decide what coverages you want and need. No expensive add-ons. Could calling Go Auto Insurance at 504-254-3000 save you money? Absolutely. It's just that simple. So call 504-254-3000 or go online to goautoinsurance.com and you can start saving money today.
Win your trip to our 2017 iHeartRadio Music Festival, hosted by Ryan Seacrest. Over 20 of the greatest performers on the planet. September 22nd and 23rd at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Listen to win your trip.
The iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Taco Bell's new $1 beefy potato burrito is the perfect comfort food. Crispy potatoes stacked with seasoned beef and melty cheddar cheese. It's all the comfort you need for just $1. Only at Taco Bell.
Welcome back to The Week in Geek. Don't forget, you can listen to previous episodes on the iHeartRadio app at The Week in Geek Radio Show. Here are your hosts, D Squared and Brian Held.
When you're in need of pain relief, come to Need It Relief Massage Therapy. Kat is an experienced licensed massage therapist.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. This is your host, D Squared with
Brian Held.
Now, Brian, we have a very special guest on the line. Would you like to do the honors?
Absolutely. We have New York Times bestselling author, Mr. Rob Reid. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. It's great to be here.
Fantastic. Now, you're here to talk about your latest book. It's called After On. It was released on August 1st.
My birthday, by the way.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
so,
fantastic.
I know you did it on purpose, right?
I did.
Now, of course, we got an advanced copy of the book that we've been checking out, and let me say that you have woven such a rich tapestry of Silicon Valley, venture capitalists, new and emerging technology, and social networking. How did you develop this story? I mean, honestly, it almost seems prophetic.
Well, I hope so in some ways, and I hope not in others. I'm kind of a Silicon Valley native. I actually wasn't born there. I was born in New York City. But I've spent most of my working life as an entrepreneur, as an investor, as a venture capitalist, et cetera, in the tech field. And so setting something in that domain and really talking about entrepreneurship as it actually happens, entrepreneurial capital and all that kind of stuff is pretty natural to me. As you know, there's a great deal that happens in startups, the lunacy of life inside of startups, the characters that populate them and so forth, again, is something that I've lived for most of my adult life. And then all the technologies that I weave into it, I've had some exposure to most of them. But as I got going researching this novel, and I really wanted to do something, ambitious in near future and bring in some elements of things that haven't quite yet happened yet, I decided to dive into doing a lot of research and interviews with leading scientists and technologists that I either knew personally or I had friend-to-friend connections with. So I did a lot of research into things that I didn't know a whole lot about beforehand. Things like neuroscience was pretty new to me. Quantum computing was also pretty new to me. Synthetic biology. All these things, I got a lot of really, really good interviews with smart folks who understand that stuff cold.
Right. Now, you recently did a talk at the Shift Forum in San Francisco, and you talk a little bit about the book, and you said something intriguing that technology, as it advances, essentially makes wizards of us all. Can you kind of delve into that a little more?
Absolutely. Thank you for pulling out that quote, because it kind of occurred to me on my feet, and as I was saying, I think that sounds kind of clever. And so that's what it is. But it's really the passage of time and the development of technology that does that. And so what I was talking about in that particular talk was the fact that there are stocking stuffers out there right now that Thomas Edison himself could not possibly have dreamt of. And generally speaking, the kids who spill those stocking stuffers out on Christmas morning, while no doubt very smart and very capable, are generally not as smart and capable as Mr. Edison. And what's happened is the mere passage of time has created these wonders, right? So this is cool, and this is what allows all of us to live lives that our ancestors couldn't have imagined, and it's a powerful and wonderful thing. But when you apply that to some technologies that are in the near-term pipeline, it's also very frightening. And what I was talking about specifically in that talk was the potential dangers of synthetic biology, which is basically writing DNA, creating creatures and DNA sequences that don't occur in nature. We're just starting to do this as a species. We're just starting to figure out how to do this and do it well. And at this point, there's probably a tiny, tiny handful of people throughout the world who could do something really dangerous and awful if they wanted to. Now, luckily, those people are very well educated. They've got great motivations. They're not going to do anything awful. But what happens 15, 20, 25 years down the road when the technologies that are available only to a handful of people will potentially be available to millions and millions of people? And while I think there's a huge amount of promise in synthetic biology, there's also some real dangers here. What might happen when some really bad actors get their hands on some of this technology? And not to go all spoilery, but that is a major, major dimension of the storyline of the book. And it is something that genuinely worries me. There's a lot in the book that I talk about in sort of a fun storytelling way that actually genuinely worries me in the, let's say, near to intermediate future, which is why I wrote about it.
Well, now, when they first cloned Dolly, the sheep, I mean, it's like the whole world collectively lost its mind, like passing legislation to ban cloning, et cetera, et cetera. And your wizard quote almost kind of makes you think of like, I can't remember who said it, but magic is basically science we haven't discovered yet.
The third, who is it?
I think it was Arthur C. Clarke.
Yes, Arthur C. Clarke's third law,
yeah,
yes.
Something like sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
That's it.
And
yes.
I think that's totally fair to say. Most of what we populate our ordinary daily lives with in terms of gadgetry and technology would look like, literally like witchcraft. to the founding fathers and mothers of this country. Would literally look like witchcraft.
Now,
and it's safe to say that which is in our near future would look that way to us.
Now, of course, everything we've been talking about thus far seems like a technophile's dream, right? Like really appealing to the geeks as far as the technology. But tell me a little bit about the cast of characters that really make up this story.
Well, this will sound like a spoiler, but it really isn't, because anybody who reads the book will see it coming hundreds of pages off. So I'm going to start with something called Flutter. Flutter is the name of a diabolical social media company that sits in the middle of the story. It basically, and by the way, the story is set in present-day San Francisco, so it's not deep future or anything. And Flutter is this diabolical social media company. It basically embodies everything that's wrong with social media right now, dialed up by about 20%. And the non-spoiler spoiler is about midway through the book, Flutter wakes up, attains consciousness. But rather than going all Terminator and trying to kill us all, she takes on her character and she identifies herself as female. She self-identifies female. She takes on her character from that which she is, which is a social network. So she basically becomes a hyper-empowered, super-intelligent 14-year-old brat. Now, a certain amount of comedy follows from that, and there is a playful dimension to the book. But there's Flutter in the center of the book. And she doesn't want to destroy humanity, but she has spectacular power vis-a-vis the rest of us, because she's basically ubiquitous in our networks. And she is super intelligent, but she's very, very young and she's very immature. And there's a handful of people who become aware of her, waking up. And it's incumbent on them to tame this enormous force that has come into the world so that it becomes a force for good rather than a force for our destruction. And I was inspired in writing all of this really by some very frightening things that three of the smartest people I can think of had to say. They were Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Stephen Hawking. This is about 3 or 4 years ago. They all started sounding off about the very real risks that we could face from the rise of a superintelligence. And this isn't just Hollywood stuff. Obviously Terminator and HAL 9000 in 2001, all part of the vernacular. But there are very real risks that we could face from the rise of a superintelligence. And in addition to being a zippy little story, or a zippy big story, it's a pretty long book. After On really intends to be a very serious level-headed meditation into what could go wrong and what we need to do and need to think about today to prevent that from going wrong.
Absolutely. Guys, we're talking with New York Times bestselling author Rob Reid about his book After On. You do make a good point. It's a great book, and it's really like a 7-course meal. It's not this action-packed, like real quick-paced type deal. I mean, it's got a lot. But, I mean, that's what good science fiction is, right, is to make us think and kind of work out these issues of our society, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things that storytellers do is they paint a picture of the futures we don't want to inhabit, so we can freak out about them real good up front and hopefully not inhabit them. Lots and lots of storytellers depicted how grim a nuclear winter would be, and I think enough people got worried enough about that as kids and then grew up to be in positions of responsibility, and that didn't happen, or at least it hasn't happened yet. I think George Orwell did the world a great favor by painting this horrifying picture of totalitarianism in 1948. It's hard to imagine that we would not be in a totalitarian world in 1948 if you look at Stalin and Hitler and everything that had just happened. And he helped that not happen. And so I'm actually a real optimist when it comes to technology, and I'm a real optimist when it comes to the technologies that are in this book. But I do paint a couple of really, really grim pictures because there's some shoals that we need to navigate in the near future if we really, frankly, if we're to survive this century. I think we can do it, but I think we need to think up front about it.
Now, before the interview, we were kind of prepping a little bit, and you mentioned about the audio book for this that's also out and available, and the cast that has been assembled to deliver this to us. Please tell us about that.
Yeah, it is an amazing group of people. So just a quick thing about the book. It's about 80% of it is a pretty traditional narrative. But I also tell the story with some untraditional things. So there are 18 Amazon reviews sprinkled throughout the story that help tell the story. They're a little mysterious at first, but they come to make sense as you start reading through the book. There are excerpts from a second novel, which if I actually finished writing that novel ever, and I won't, I'm quite convinced to be the single worst science fiction novel ever written. And so those are sprinkled throughout.
Are there any Amazon reviews by Charles Henry Higginsworth III?
There are a lot of Amazon reviews by Charles Henry Higginsworth III. And what I will say is, if you look online, you will find those reviews, and you will see that they actually were posted to the internet back in 2002 and 2003, which is when they date to in the book.
My favorite is the one about the Cubs book.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the ones that's on I believe is online and not in the book. So with all these sort of fun media elements, I was able to get some great people. So Felicia Day, geek heroine to millions,
absolutely,
is one of my voices. She reads the part of a blogger named NetGirl, who's a big voice in the book. John Hodgman, fantastic comedian, reads all those fantastic Amazon reviews. Leo Laporte and Tom Merritt, big tech journalists. They are the voices of the San Francisco Chronicle and the New York Times, respectively.
Wow.
Patrick Rothfuss, who wrote the magnificent book Name of the Wind and lots of other great fantasy, is also one of my voices. And then I have a YouTuber named Jesse Cox, and then January Lavoie and Sean Kennan are two big audiobook readers, and they read the bulk of the book. So there's a lot of fantastic voices, and the performances are just mind-boggling.
Dave, didn't you have a question about Mr. Higginsworth that you wanted to ask?
Well, I was just wondering, like we have a wonderful new T-shirt for sale at the Week in Geek. We just needed to know if we could maybe get a review from Mr. Higginsworth. If you could just maybe drop him a line whenever you get a chance.
Oh, sure. Send me a link to it. Mr. Higginsworth is I think he might be available for this, and that's all I can say without giving a whole lot away. But I think he might be very honored to be asked to review that.
We're visiting with Rob Reid, author of After On. Mr. Reid, if you don't mind, hold on. We got to take a quick break, so when we come right back, we'll continue this conversation with Mr. Rob Reid, author of After On. And we'll be right back. You're listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
Friends, is your morning tea just not your cup of tea? Then try the tea blends of Viridian Tea Company. At Viridian Tea Company, they sell blends guaranteed to make you think outside the box. With such blends as My Enemy's Tears, Goth Librarian, Cyberpunk, and many more, your tea experience will be out of this world. Look for the blends at Tubby & Coo's Mid-City Bookshop, located at 631 North Carrollton, or on Etsy at Viridian Tea Company. Try Viridian Tea Company today. Your taste buds will thank you.
Adco Metals has pole barns for residential, commercial, and farming. Get the building you need without the high price. Serving North and South Shore Louisiana, Pine Belt, and South Mississippi. 888-858-3222 or adcometals.com. When quality counts, count on the experts at Adco Metals.
All loans subject to lender approval. Must be in business 1 year and have $100,000 in annual revenue.
If you're a small business owner, you know that means waking up early and working hard each day to be as successful as possible. You also know that to be successful, you're going to need three things: a great vision, perseverance, and above all else, you're going to need capital. When it comes to capital, nobody knows small business like OnDeck, the experts in small business loans. OnDeck has already delivered over $6 billion in loans to over 60,000 small businesses. And having earned an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, it's no wonder why 9 out of 10 customers would recommend OnDeck to a friend. There's no obligation, and you could receive a decision on your application in as fast as one business day. OnDeck is ready to help you invest in your company's success. So rise early, work hard, and get the capital you need to grow with OnDeck.
Speak with our U.S.-based loan specialists and find out how much you qualify for now at OnDeckLending.com. That's OnDeckLending.com.
Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid by Nancy Hansen, is now an audiobook read for you by Brian Held. It's a tale of a young girl from Tortuga who disguises herself as a boy and bluffs her way onto a pirate ship, chasing after her one true love, only to find adventure on the high seas. Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid is available on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. Get your copy of Jezebel Johnston today.
Welcome to America Speaks by Zip, the polling app that lets you tell the nation what you think. Download the Zip app today. It's Sunday, August 13th. President Trump is taking credit for the stock market riding high. Does he deserve this pat on the back? 82% of men and 75% of women said yes, he has earned it. Disney partners with Lyft on a new minivan service offering transportation at the Walt Disney World Resort. Will Uber step up their game? 58% of all respondents to the Zip app think they will step it up real soon. Spice up your life. The Spice Girls movie is coming back to cinemas for its 20th anniversary in September. Will you be celebrating? 75% of women said no, and an incredible 91% of men said they'll take a pass as well. Answer all of life's opinion-based questions with just one swipe. Download Zip, the polling app that lets you tell the nation what you think. In the App Store, it's free and 100% anonymous.
Hello, this is Chris Walken. If you've got a hankering for more cowbell, you can get it on The Week in Geek. Come on.
Listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. I'm your host, D Squared with
Brian Held.
All right, Brian, we got to continue our conversation with Mr. Rob Reid. Mr. Reid, thank you so much for hanging on during the break.
Absolutely.
Now, I was cyber stalking you, a.k.a. doing some show prep for this interview. I noticed that you did a lot with the with Listen.com and Rhapsody and working with the record labels, air quotes there. One thing that I found really amazing was how they just didn't want to deal with you, as in the record labels, because of all the pirating that was going on. How did you end up overcoming that obstacle with them?
Yes, it was kind of lunacy. Back in 1999, I founded a company called Listen.com, and as you noted, we built the Rhapsody music service. And we were actually the very first company to get full catalog licenses from all of the major record labels. And we basically pioneered the model that everybody now knows through Spotify and Apple and others of unlimited on-demand streaming.
Download your free iHeartRadio app to listen to the Week in Geek radio show. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
For instance. So we were the first to do all that. It took us almost 4 years to get the licenses that we sought in order to build this thing. And we had to do, and we in fact did do a bunch of other stuff online to make ends meet while we were going through this interminable negotiation with the record labels. But what happened was that the labels were so incensed by the rise of Napster and other piracy services that they ended up essentially embargoing the entire internet. So we were there saying essentially, look, guys, we're the nerds with the white hats on, right? You know, we're at the party, we're drinking the Diet Coke, everybody's hanging out with the dudes with the black hats on. We're the nerds who are here who desperately want to sell your music and make a commercial, paid-for experience that is better than piracy. And there was so much anger and dismay about Napster and other things, and about the internet in general, that the labels tarred the internet as a whole with this brush of, oh, it's awful and it's evil. Right. And so they basically taught an entire generation of people to become technically adept at piracy, because all the kids knew was, I love the internet and I love music and I want them together. I guess I can't buy this stuff. So basically the labels, by boycotting the internet for 4 years, trained an entire generation both to be technically adept at piracy and also, and I think this is really important, to be morally comfortable with it. People kind of instinctively felt like, well, I want this thing and they won't sell it to me, and yeah, I guess the only thing to do is to get on Napster.
Yeah,
and so
like a self-fulfilling prophecy in essence.
Very much, very, very much. And so that made it all the harder to actually sell the music. Now, eventually we did get the licenses. We actually got them before even Apple Computer. And at the end of the day, I'm delighted and grateful that the labels decided to license it to us first, and we were able to pioneer all this stuff and so forth. But unfortunately, they created a monumental headwind. If they had gotten into the market with us in 1999, as opposed to 2003, basically, with a product that people would have found wildly superior to piracy. And who in the world is going to go downloading a bunch of MP3s through lousy piracy sites today when you get anything you want with the push of a button? Basically nobody. We could have provided that to the world in 1999. And, basically I think by embargoing the internet for all those years, it really kind of set the whole industry back by about a decade, which is a pity. The company ended up doing fine. I ended up selling it to a company called Real Networks. They sold half of it to MTV. The Rhapsody service, the descendant of that service, still has 3 million paying subscribers. It now, ironically, goes by the name Napster, because at some point, my descendants bought Napster's brand. After I left the company, they bought the Napster brand or trademark out of bankruptcy. So you can imagine what a big kick I get out of that. But so it's still out there as a service. But it was a crazy experience. And my first novel I wrote was basically therapy from all of that. So my first science fiction novel was called Year Zero. Came out a few years ago, and it's the tale of a vast alien civilization that is so into American pop music that they accidentally commit the biggest copyright infringement since the dawn of time and bankrupt the entire universe.
That's awesome.
So you were basically ahead of your time, in essence. We're visiting with Rob Reid, author of After On, that came out on August 1st. Brian, do you have any more questions before we let this fine gentleman go?
Does Year Zero and After On tie in together at all?
They do. There are two characters who overlap between the two books, and there are references to what's going on in Year Zero and After On. It remains to be seen what happens when these universes collide, and that may well happen. Nice. The other thing is that John Hodgman, who brilliantly reads part of the After On audiobook, reads all of Year Zero.
Awesome. That's great news. Well, all right, so your book is out. I'm assuming all the traditional outlets, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, all that good stuff?
Yes, all of the traditional outlets, and then there is one other weird outlet that doesn't exactly have the book, but the world of podcasting has an element of it. So So when I was doing all this great research for the book, I learned so much about things like synthetic biology and quantum computing and consciousness and neuroscience. I desperately wanted to cram it all into the book, right? Because you learn all these exciting things and you want to put it in there, but a 20-page digression about synthetic biology is pretty lousy storytelling.
Right.
So I had to restrain myself, and as I was starting to really get into the book, I decided, you know what I could do? When the book comes out, I'm going to do a series of podcasts, which I have in fact done. And so what I've done is I've I'm in the final stages of producing the 8th podcast. There'll be a series of 8. Only one's gone up as you and I are speaking right now. They'll be going up once a week throughout August and September. It's called the After On Podcast. You can already find it on iTunes and Stitcher and everywhere else. And each episode is a very long interview with a world-class expert in one of the topics that the book is really concerned with. And they're long. I mean, some of the episodes are, an hour and a half long, and they get really deep. The first episode is about augmented reality. The second one is about neuroscience and consciousness. There's an episode about synthetic biology. There's certainly an episode about the risks that we face from superintelligence. There's a long interview with Sam Harris.
Oh, wow.
I have a 2.5-hour interview with Sam because one of the themes of the book is terrorism.
Yes.
I spent a lot of time in the Middle East before I got into technology. I lived in Cairo, and it's an issue that's haunted me for a very long time. And Sam is one of the most prominent and also controversial commentators in American society on the issue of Islamic terror right now. That's a theme in the book. And he and I had a very long conversation that's going to be, I think it's episode 5 or 6 of my podcast. So that's sort of like a companion set of media. And what I'll say is, it's totally unnecessary to read the book in order to listen to the podcast, to learn from it and enjoy it. It's only at the tail end of each episode that my co-host Tom Merritt and I actually talk about the book. So anybody who's interested in any of these technological subjects, I hope they find the podcast, even if they're not interested in science fiction or reading my novel.
So, Mr. Reid, where can we find your book and all the links out there?
So the book is pretty much everywhere. It's in libraries and bookstores throughout the United States. It's on digital devices, certainly in the Amazon store, Barnes & Noble store online, etc. My own little home online is after-on.com. And people can find all kinds of information about my podcast there. And also, I'd love it if people are interested in this sort of thing, if they'd sign up for the newsletter there. I can keep them informed about new podcast episodes, stuff I'm writing, appearances I'm going to be making, that kind of thing. And I'm really active on Medium. So on Medium, it's medium.com/@RobReid, R-E-I-D is the spelling. And finally, on Twitter, I'm at Rob_Reid, and again, R-E-I-D. So that's me.
And of course, your After On website has the shift forum talk that we referenced earlier in the interview. So,
it does.
Yeah.
And my TED Talk, which I'm very proud of, even though it was years ago. I still get a kick out of that TED Talk. I was talking about the lunacy of copyright law and some of the issues that we talked about obliquely earlier. There's a 5-minute talk that I did at TED about five years ago, which is very playful. It's not a heavy-duty thing. It's not a long thing. That's also linked on the site.
But you said it's also available in libraries. How long do you think libraries are going to be sticking around for us, huh?
I hope forever. I think libraries are an incredibly important resource, and I think a lot of them are finding, new missions, including getting streaming fast bandwidth to folks who don't have it at home. That's such an important thing. So I hope the libraries are here forever. And, another interesting point is that the publishing industry has actually stabilized around physical books. Over the past 6 months, physical book sales have actually taken share away from digital. So there seems to be about half of us seem to prefer physical books, and about half of us seem to prefer digital books. I think there's a long future for the printed word, a much longer one than there was for physical music, because reading is such a tactile experience, whereas with music, even with record albums, once you drop the needle, your physical interaction with that media was over. Not so with books.
Yeah, that's true. And, of course, we have family and friends who are librarians, so we want the library to stay around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, one thing the publishing companies have done is a lot of books, as soon as they drop, they do show up in libraries. I mean, there was a time where, it was kind of like going to Blockbuster Video, and you'd have to wait a good 6-7 months before a library would get some of the newer books, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mr. Reid, thank you so much for taking the time today, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, guys, stay tuned. You're listening to The Week in Geek. And, Brian, when we get back, we're going to do our favorite segment as we close out the show, as we always do, with This Week in Geek History. All right, guys, stay tuned. You're listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
Are you looking for a way to give back to the men and women who have risked it all in defense of our country? Do you need community service hours for your school or job? The Veterans Housing Outreach Project is looking for you. The project has weekly and monthly community service hours available at sites around New Orleans, Marrero, and Hahnville. If you'd like to help, email homeless.veteran66@yahoo.com. A message from WRNO Communities, helping to make a difference in New Orleans.
Michael Berry is coming. Metairie, Mandeville, and New Orleans. You want to say hello? Come and join us at Monkey Board, the rooftop bar at the Troubadour Hotel, Wednesday, August 23rd, starting at 7:30. Tell them Michael Berry sent you. News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
Friends, is your morning tea just not your cup of tea? Then try the tea blends of Viridian Tea Company. At Viridian Tea Company, they sell blends guaranteed to make you think outside the box. With such blends as My Enemy's Tears, Goth Librarian, Cyberpunk, and many more, your tea experience will be out of this world. Look for the blends at Tubby & Coo's Mid-City Bookshop, located at 631 North Carrollton, or on Etsy at Viridian Tea Company. Try Viridian Tea Company today. Your taste buds will thank you.
Vincent Guard Service is one of the largest privately owned security companies in the Southeast. Vincent has been providing security in the New Orleans metro area since 1963. We are family owned and operated. Contact Vincent at 525-0591 or visit our website at vincentguard.com.
Can't wait until Saturday morning at 7 to hear advisor Laurence Olivier's guidance for retirement security on the Financial Safari? Call now for a complimentary discussion about your financial questions. 800-588-2167.
This week in Geek History.
We're sending you back to the future!
Yes! Oh my God!
This Week in Geek History is brought to you by Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid by Nancy Hansen, read by Brian Held. Available on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. This Week in Geek History.
Yes! Oh my gosh!
Da-na-na. Da-na-na. All right, Brian, we're in the home stretch. We ain't got much time. Let's do it.
All right, first item on my list, August 7th, 1981. Heavy Metal, an animated film starring John Candy, Eugene Levy, Marilyn Lightstone, and Harold Ramis is released.
That was a great movie, man.
I love that
movie. It was my first cartoon boobs. I'll never forget it.
You're so ridiculous.
It's true. How old was it? What year was it coming out?
It was 81.
See, I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
Fond memories of those cartoon boobs.
Oh, jeez. All right, August 8th, 1999. The original run of Mystery Science Theater 3000 comes to an end with Danger Diabolic was their last movie.
Oh.
Now, the reason I brought this up is this Thursday at AMC Palace 20 is going to be the Riff Tracks, The Five Doctors.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's got one of the original cast members doing it.
Yes.
Doing some of the riffing.
And Kurdahu is going to be out there. I'm going to be out there helping set up the TARDIS. So if you want to come stop by and say hi and
come out and see the guys from the Weekend Geek. I might actually be there for that.
Uh-oh. All right.
Well, I like people that make fun of other people.
Oh,
Schadenfreude. What's
course.
next?
What's next? On August 10th, 1675.
Jesus.
The foundation stone of the Royal Greenwich Observatory in London is laid by King Charles II, and it's best known as the location of the prime meridian, which gives its name to Greenwich Mean Time.
Isn't it Greenwich?
Well, Greenwich, yes.
We'll go with Greenwich.
All right. Sounds good.
So he laid some wood or like a stone?
A stone.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. You ready for birthdays?
Sure.
All right. Let's see. On the 7th, Dave Duchovny.
Yeah. They call me that here at the office because they can't say DeCorbier.
Oh, that's sad.
When they page me in the building, it's Dave Duchovny, line 1.
Uh-huh. And to pair with that on the 9th, Gillian Anderson.
Yes.
Yes. On the 10th, Claudia Christian. From Babylon 5.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the 11th,
I partied with her. She's fun.
Oh, yeah. On the 11th, Chris Hemsworth.
Thor.
Yes. Also on the 11th, Ian McDermott.
Oh, really?
Yes, Palpatine.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
And also on the 11th, Steve Wozniak, who was...
Steve from Steve Jobs' guy, his friend?
Right.
Yeah,
one
his
of the
rival,
founders of,
technically.
No, he was one of the founders of Apple.
No, but it was,
he was the
I said
smart
friend. One. Right. Friend, but not really a friend.
Uh-huh.
So, all right, Brian, so what's going on next week?
Next week, well, we're going to be at Pensacola Comic-Con.
We
Come
are?
and see us. Our guest is going to be a call-in. It's Candace Huber from Tubby & Coos.
Sweet.
And
what are we talking about?
We're going to talk about her new imprint. She's going to be publishing books now, and one of her authors, I'm still working out who it's going to be, but one of her authors will also be in studio as a guest. And so we'll have a discussion about what they're working on.
Is she calling us from Gen Con?
She is calling us from Gen
Con.
Con.
So lucky.
I know.
All right, guys, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Wow, this show flew. Rob Reid, thanks again for joining us, and it was a great interview, man.
Absolutely.
All right, till next time, keep your nerd flag raised high.
GFL.
Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at TWIG Radio. iHeartRadio app. Peace out.
Your new home for Walton and Johnson. News Talk 99.5 WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.